Good afternoon, Danvers. Welcome to the Topics of the Town News. Today is May 21st, 2026. It's already May. Graduations are happening and all kinds of things are being done. Welcome to our local broadcast. I'm Mark Zubarek, and and pronounce it properly as Zubarek, but Joe Collins used to call it out as Zubarek. So that's okay. I answer to all of them. Welcome to our broadcast. The agenda and opinions are solely by the Topics of the Town host, myself, and our guests and commentators. Today I have William Kossawan, Bill Kossawan, who has been very supportive in this program and also in the historic aspects of what's happening in the town of Danvers.
Yes, I have.
So you're a junior Richard Trask.
Junior Richard.
Junior Richard Trask, that's right. Well, it was good to have Richard around at the town meeting. He didn't say much, but he has always been there, and I appreciate his presence. But he also instigates some discussions, so that's a good thing. So today, and if you notice in the back of us, we have the two flags. The American flag, currently in 50 states. I'm sorry, it's some presidents think it's 51 states or 52 states.
52.
We only have 50.
Right.
But on the other side, right behind me, I have a flag that I acquired for temporary use from Mr. Jack Harris and Eileen Harris. So thank you very much for letting us have this for at least the moment of celebrating the 250th anniversary of the United States. And Bill has one of the hats that I've acquired. And what I want to do is I will dedicate another hat to Jack, not Eileen, for the moment. She has to get involved. So we have them in the audience, and I appreciate you being here. So, questions and comments from the audience, and this is what this started, this whole thing with the hats, because for some reason the town of Danvers and the leadership in the town has basically ignored the 250th anniversary of this country. I mean, this town was established in 1757, and the thing is, we go back as if you watch the presentation by Richard Trask, go back to the Mayflower with some of the families that live in this town.
That's true.
So I just want to continue presenting that, and what we'll have is we'll have a hat for Jack for agreeing to display the 13-star flag, which is really, you should see the quality of that material. I mean, that thing is going to last for another 150 years. So, the hat is being, I will get you one. And next question will be based on town meeting attitude. I had some questions raised as a result of what happened during the last town meeting on Monday. And for some reason, the town meeting was so orchestrated that they almost finished by 9:30, 9:45, I think. I left before the end because it was
early.
not very instructive of what was going on. I don't know whether the town meeting members even understand what the heck they were voting for or voting on. So I will go through a couple of items, but right now what I want to do is announce the second part of the Richard Trask dissertation on the history of Danvers, how it was involved with Salem witch trials and Salem Village. We were part of Salem Village at one time. And Massachusetts was part of the Maine, all the way up to Maine.
That's right.
So we have a lot of history to deal with. But we can only deal on little bits at a time.
True.
So today it's the flag, and I appreciate Jack for loaning that to us. On the 250th anniversary issues, I have released the first part of the Danvers discussions with Richard Trask on May 6th, I believe. So it's been running for 2 weeks now. I will be releasing the second part of 7 parts. So we'll be releasing this very judiciously. So that'll be coming up. And the second item that I want to bring up in regard to the history of Danvers is the Hooper House mural dedication that happened on April 9th at Town Hall. And I think I would encourage, and I know you will too, is encourage for people to visit the Town Hall, the main entrance, and look at the murals that have been displayed on the wall, because that represents our history from the time of
1600s.
1600s, right? So that's where we're at on that. Now, I also have, the last time I'm going to show this clip. Ben, if you can show the fundraiser clip. There we go. We have a clip for a fundraiser at Supino's, Danvers Republican Town Committee on June 4th. And the clip is really an announcement, and this will be a night of laughs, food, and fun. There are 3 comedians that are going to be appearing at Supino's.
Okay.
And what I want to do is, I have acquired 2 tickets. However, I'm going to be on my fishing trip on those dates. So you are invited if you would like to come.
I'd love to. Thank you.
All right, so
I'd love
now
to.
we have dedicated 2 more tickets. So it's going to be a pizza buffet, and then there's going to be a comedy show that will be presented. And the 4 comedians are Jeannie DeRosa, Steve Linehan, and Matt Rogues. So enjoy the show. It's
Thank
on
you.
June 4th. Election results last time, because I think results are over and done with. The only announcement that I have as a result of the elections is that school committee got their incumbent, Josh Kipnis, back in office, and Beth Contos arrived at the 2nd seat. So she's going to be a force to reckon with, I hope.
Well, she has a very good reputation.
Absolutely. And
Probably the best reputation of any politician I've heard of in this town
Well,
in quite some time.
she claims not to be a politician.
That's true. That's true.
But she comes from a depth of education experience. However, she's also part of the union establishment. So that has to be balanced, and that's how we're going to be watching that, and maybe invite her to the show to explain what
Oh, I
kind
most
of
definitely
things.
would.
Okay. Now, the number 5 item is the Danvers electric rate changes that have happened as of April 1st. And being Snoopy like I am, I went to the electric department and I asked them, how did they arrive at these rates? Why did they change now? They haven't been changed for 20 years, I believe. And all of a sudden, they came up with the commercial rate structure,
Mhm.
which increased by, I think, 6%, 4 to 6%. And I've asked for an explanation. I haven't got it yet. But what I'll do is I will request a Freedom of Information letter to explain to the public of how this rate was established. Your phone is ringing
Sorry, dude.
in your pocket.
Got turned
But
off.
that maybe it's the municipal light board. I don't know.
I'm not sure what to say on that.
Well, the thing is that what I wanted to determine, and you know my existence depends on knowing the electrical industry because I worked in it for 45 years. So what I'm going to ask is what is the basis of the increase and why did it take so long for this increase to happen? And what is the law that they used to make this increase without a public hearing?
If
And-
I may.
Yes.
If I may.
Go
we,
ahead.
We seem to be doing a number of things in this town without formal public announcement. It is because we say so it is. And you know what it's like going before the select board or even talking to any of the people. You might as well talk to the wall. I hate to put it that way, but that you don't get an answer. I went before the select board with a simple question the other night.
Right.
Crickets.
Go ahead. Why don't you- why don't
Crickets.
you tell
Absolute
us about
crickets.
it?
Not a peep. I mean, it was a small issue, but
Tell us of what the issue is.
okay. The issue is my favorite subject, history
Yes.
of Danvers. And to make a short story as short and to the point as possible. Back in the summer of 1774, General Gage lived at what is now 135 Sylvan Street, and there was a contingent of breadcoats across the street, which is now the M&T Bank lawn, you call it that. The bank, I've spoke with them, the bank was very, very open to ceding the lot to the town of Danvers to be maintained as a historical site, which it is, and basically no charge to the town. Here's the land, free. As far as maintaining the land, it's a lawn. So I've offered, it's no big deal, I'll just hop on a lawnmower and go take care of it. Dick Trask and others from the Historical Society have ideas of a storyboard of such and a flagpole, but that's it. Now, this has been floating out there now for about 14 months.
Right.
Okay, 14 months. This is the third time I've gone before them. They've already knew about it when I formally brought it to their attention. Hey, they'd like to do this. No response. Went to them again. Well, they handed it off to the town manager. No response. Went to last night, went to the other night rather, where literally I had a letter from Dick Trask in my hand, completely endorsing the project. Dave McKenna's behind it. Karen Wagner's behind it. Many, many others. No response. Nothing. So
We
that
have
applies to other subjects as well.
We have been talking about this issue for a long time.
Mm.
And you're right. The Board of Selectmen is so void of action.
Yeah.
They're afraid to make any action. And I hope that the new chairman that's been just selected, and this is a continuation of my election topics, Dee Joko has been selected as the new chairman of the Board of Select Board.
The select board.
I always get this wrong. It's selectmen. Whether you like it or not, that's what it is. So, Dee hopefully will take a little bit more control of what's going on because even Mike Bean tried to introduce a discussion point at the end of the meeting that maybe the Board of Selectmen should get more involved in what's going on with the resident action items that have been identified. And all they do is they pass it on to the town manager, and the town manager doesn't know what to do with it. So she needs direction.
Well, if I may, I've gone to enough select board meetings, and it's only natural to observe what goes on, okay? My opinion is they are too busy as professionals in their lives, and they're not preparing for these meetings. So it's like going to school and not doing your homework the night before, that somebody's putting something before you, you have no response because you're not prepared to respond. They're all good people. That's not a criticism. That is just a comment.
The thing is that they have to take it upon themselves, even individually, if not as a group, because they need to respond to the residents. And the residents have only one option to get heard, is go to the polls and elect a new selectman or select woman, because that's where it all ends. Go ahead.
Which brings me to another favorite spot. Okay.
Oh, okay.
This past election, talking about select people, you had one. No offense to Maureen. She was uncontested.
Right.
Previous to that, you had 7, which to me was kind of silly, goofy,
It was
focused.
stacked.
It was stacked. Okay, you introduced the word. I didn't.
Okay.
Okay. What happened? What happened? Why didn't somebody else get involved?
Because they were afraid to upset the apple cart. That's the reason. And the reason, and that's been told to me directly, I've heard that from many individuals, is that if they challenged Maureen, they would basically eliminate her.
Well, no
And
one's
that's
one's looking to eliminate Maureen. I have no negatives with her whatsoever. It's just, how do you go from 7 contestants to 1?
because there's no organization that puts things together. And the problem is 7 individuals acting independently basically defeated themselves.
True.
So maybe, if somebody's interested in running for the Board of Selectmen, or the Select Board, excuse me, Mr. Joko is coming up, and Mr. Bean is coming up. So there are 2 positions that are coming up next year.
So soon? Yeah, I guess
So
it has
soon.
been. Yeah.
It's been a while. So we'll see how Mr. Joko progresses through his tenure as chairman. Mr. Bean has been, sort of quiet. And I think we need somebody to start pounding on the table. None of them are willing to do that.
Well, that's true. If I may, again.
Go ahead.
I just refer to D as D. I think that, and he's been very good support to my.
Absolutely.
Okay, he's been there every single time. I've looked over and there he is. So he's doing great in my opinion. But again, he is stretched a little thin. That's my worst comment.
He has a private job, which takes up a lot of time, and we all did. I mean, at the time when I was on the board and Pat was on the board, she was a legal, she was an attorney full time. I was in engineering full time. I traveled all over the country. You make time for what you've been elected to do.
Okay.
So, let's move on. The other item, number 6, I'm up to number 6. This is going well. Hey, the clock didn't go off yet. We have 55 minutes.
It's amazing. The show will never end.
Show will never end, right? That's all right. That's okay. I've been asking for 2 hours, but they won't give it to me.
I think they just gave it to you.
Oh, man.
Oh, that's reality.
State open meeting law violations. Just to continue the subject of the agendas, the access of the public to these committees, planning board, zoning board of appeals, conservation board, housing board, whatever, all of the boards, they do not issue minutes of their meetings in a prompt manner. The only one that I noticed has been done pretty good is they're about 2 weeks behind. Kathy Ellsworth doing the minutes for the board, the select board. However, I've been waiting for minutes of the meeting from March 10th from the planning board, because that's the one I filed a violation, open meeting law violation on. They won't issue the minutes. I don't know where they are. But what the violation is in place with the Attorney General in the state of Massachusetts. They're taking their time in reviewing that. I submitted a copy of the meeting on film and my explanation of why I felt there was a violation. But that violation applies only to the planning board. But I think every other board should at least address the issues that have been identified.
Well, there are supposed to be. There's a heavy emphasis coming down on every organization I know of. I mean, we had a situation at the local Fish and Game Club
Yeah.
that a small issue was when our lawyer got involved, it turned into a $5,700 bill because somebody basically got mad. And we had to lay out this whole procedure in terms of how to follow what needed to be done legally.
And that's where my explanation on this outline is costly consequences. And all I asked for this violation is, let's get some training to these people that are assigned to these committees. The problem is that the only committee that the Board of Select Board appoints is the Zoning Board of Appeals. All other committees are appointed by the town manager. We've had a lack of interest from town management to the committees for the last year and a half since Steve Bartha left.
Isn't that interesting?
So now what has happened is, all I ask for is get some training to these people and follow some procedures of who gets appointed.
The training is out there. When was the last time you heard anybody raise Robert's Rules of Order? Just even mention it.
I know. Well, I have the book.
Yeah, well, so do I. But I mean, that used to be primary guidebook, and
Yes.
there is plenty of guidance there.
And each one of those committees supposed to get a copy of that kind of a instruction book that they should follow, because the Zoning Board of Appeals is very legalese. The Planning Board now, with the influx of development happening in town, is very legal oriented. So they have to follow the law, basically, and they're not. They're just doing it randomly.
Well,
So that's what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for a result of the Attorney General as a instruction to our town manager and to our Board of Select Board. And they are not very receptive to what's going on, because what I understand is that they're reluctant to get this in place. And why? Because they need to train their people. The people that are appointed to these committees are selected by a volunteer basis. They put their name into the bucket, and somebody from town hall, town manager's office, pulls the name out of the bucket, and they get appointed to a committee. Now, we have to have a little bit more common sense of which and who should be appointed to these committees.
Well, true, but I don't think it's quite that simple, Mark, but it's not
It
that.
is that simple.
Well, trying to be kind.
The problem is that our leadership, our elected officials, don't know what's going on.
Well, every one of these jobs, as I've seen it, if you really read the job description, if you really get into what's established, your daily activity is pretty much spelled out for you. It's a go through the motion thing. Everything you do is spelled out what you're supposed to do. They're straying from the script is what goes on here. Now, whether they're doing this because other things are more interesting or distraction or whatever, but doing the job is all spelled out and not being carried out correctly.
And most of it is by Mass General laws. And the problem is that these people that are appointed do not necessarily understand what they're there for. That's my issue. I'll stick to it. That's all we're going to say. Next item that I like to get to is public access to the board discussions. Now, I've been watching the Board of Selectmen,
Select board.
Select Board, excuse me, I have to get the conversion.
Just say it over and over again. They'll sink in.
No, it won't.
No?
No.
Okay. Go on.
The problem is that watching the specifically Board of Selectmen, Select Board, and Planning Board, Conservation, because I've been involved in those, there's no rhyme or reason of when and where the public has access to these committees. Some chairmen allow a lot of participation from the general public, which is very, very nice to hear because they need the input not just from their board members, which usually are 5. They need to hear from the public that's being affected by these decisions that they make. So, specifically going at the select board, I would suggest that they participate in a, I don't know, monthly or weekly sit down, like a session with Sally Kearns.
Yes.
She has a meeting with residents, whoever wants to come and see and talk to her.
Yeah, open door.
Open door policy. Selectmen do not have that.
No, but again, this goes back to one of my earlier comments. They're too busy in their private lives.
Well, then they shouldn't have run for the office.
They have their personal lives, and they just have good old-fashioned fun time they're allowed, and it doesn't leave much time for anything else.
See, the comments that I've made here for myself is meetings are not only for business, but are designated to be an opportunity for the public input. Why do we rebuke discussion from the voters and interested residents? The board does not want any input because they have to do some homework to address it. That's every public comment that has been made, and I've recorded them all, is there's no follow-up.
Everybody is shooting from the hip because they don't have the time to do the homework necessary to prepare
Well,
for proper dialogue.
then we should throw the bums out and get a new row.
Well, you could do it that way, or you could encourage individuals such as Mike Bean and just say, hey, here's an idea. Why don't you just do what Sally Kearns does? One day a month, just have an open door, let people come in and chit-chat. That would accomplish so much.
I would
Start with
suggest
one.
I would suggest that to all of them, because some are more influential than others, and they need to get the experience with common folks and not the political activists.
Yeah.
So maybe that's a good idea. Maybe what we should do is suggest that to Mike Bean, and set up 1 hour, 1 hour a
Well,
week, or 1 hour a month.
I think what Sally does is only a couple of hours a month.
Yes,
And
but she
Well,
does a schedule that.
at the senior center.
Right.
Yeah, and very, very popular moment. People pop in and out of there.
That's right. I've gone.
Yeah, I've gone.
Okay, so that's a suggestion to get the selectmen involved, because even at the last meeting, Mike Bean himself raised an issue of why can't we, as the board, elected board, get involved in day-to-day activities, get our input into the town manager, because all we're doing right now is passing it on to the town manager, and she doesn't know what to do with it.
Hmm.
They need to give her direction. So I congratulate Mike Bean. Let's get some of the board members at a meeting and sit down in an evening for an hour or so. And if anybody, I bet you that everybody's going to have comments.
Yeah. Yeah, they will.
They will. Okay, public board discussion continues to be lacking. And that's why I want to bring up this board discussion on Green Communities Resilient Danvers. For some reason, this was sent out to the town meeting members, select board, and board committee members. This is Resilient Danvers. You didn't get one. I
Nope.
didn't get one.
That's because I'm not resilient.
You're not resilient. Yes, you are. You're not a pushover either.
No.
Well, the thing is that was brought up at the select board meeting, and basically Bill was poo-pooed, says, go away until the end of the meeting, I'll bring it up. There was nothing really brought up. She mentioned it, but what is all that? It's all state-funded grants. Why haven't they been applying for these grants? Because this town is lacking funds.
Going back to my opening comments, they're all too busy. Things are falling off the table. They don't
Town-
mean
Town employees?
yeah. God forbid. Yeah.
Well, God forbid,
Yeah,
town
no,
employees, they have to get paid.
People are not. I spent 18 years working for the military. Totally different experience in working in the private sector. Okay.
I know.
In the military, you're allowed so much time. You will cover every point. Okay. If you have any questions afterward, well, that's after on.
That's a
Every-
follow-up.
Every point will be addressed and tabled. Here, it's just not happening because people are too busy.
Well, here's the questions, or a list of questions that I raised for myself. And I will be following this up, and I hope the town meeting members that have been invited to this, and I can't understand why they can, or how they can exclude average resident from a public meeting like this. This is another infraction.
Okay.
But that's my point, and I'm sticking with it. What is this? Nobody was able to explain that at the select board meeting.
Because
and
they're too
town
busy to
manage-
research it.
Yeah, because they weren't ready.
They weren't ready.
What is it all about? I read the resilient plan, Danvers resilient plan, that they have published on the internet. There is a plan out there.
Mm-hmm.
It's all mumble jumble about green energy, and it's just all EPA stuff. So
Yeah.
the thing is, like we were talking earlier, this is meant for municipal light board, They are in the business of delivering power or economizing the power use.
Mm-hmm.
Where is the plan for the solar panel at the dump? They haven't put one together yet. I haven't seen it.
No.
I've asked for it 3 or 4 times. Where is the plan for water and sewer? Nothing.
Oh, I've heard something pop up in the last 48 hours about that.
What's that?
Oh, something's coming down the line.
No, well, I'll tell you what's coming down the line because I know what you're talking about. This is Salem News. Boston, Massachusetts is getting another. I can't read that.
You want my cheaters?
No, you can you do the reading. This is PFAS. This is the $18.6 million that the state is donating to the communities with the PFAS issue, which is the contamination from the plastics.
Mm-hmm.
So the town meeting, in their wisdom, just passed, I think, $600,000 or $700,000 for the PFAS contamination filtration system because it's has to be done through the water treatment plant.
Mm-hmm.
Why didn't they know that this was coming down? I mean, the day after the town meeting, they approved the money. I think we should probably pull all that back.
Shall I say it again?
Yeah, go ahead.
It is too busy to prepare. That's why things are falling off the table. I come from a different environment to most people.
Well, that's okay. The next question I had is funding question. Who's going to fund all this?
Good question.
This is the Resilient Danvers. It's under a disguise of the environmentalists preparing the town for some kind of a catastrophe. I don't know what it is. Who is asking for the override? That has been indicated to me by several people that that's an indication that they may be going for an override. And the Water and Sewer Commission has already made a presentation to the board, the select board,
Mm-hmm.
about a 2.5 override. Water and Sewer is an enterprise fund. It is based on fees that they charge for our water and for our sewer disposal. 2.5 doesn't have anything to do with the treatment plant.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
A constituent of mine asked me, where does our sewage go? And I couldn't answer it. I
To
don't know.
Salem.
Well, that's what I thought, but I wasn't sure about this.
That's where it goes, and then it goes out in the ocean.
Okay.
There's a 3.5 mile, I don't know what size it is now, but MWRA has one going out 5.5 miles into the harbor, or beyond the harbor, and that's a 24-foot diameter pipe
That's
that
a
goes
lot of-
out into the ocean
That's a lot of surge.
and feeds, well, it's
Fish.
cleaned up. It's
Yes, I
cleaned
know.
up.
I'm just joking.
But the fish love it.
They look good.
Yeah. Well, at the nuclear plant in Plymouth, we used to go fishing outside of the plant. They used to allow that. They don't do that anymore. But stripers were great.
Yeah.
So, this is an indication of either a request for an override because the state is not going to be continuing or even attempt to fund all of the grants that they're looking for. Or it could be a CPA, which is the, what the heck did they call it? I forgot, but that's okay. It's a
Okay.
CPA issue. So that's something to watch out for, but I am very concerned about the exclusion of residents from that. Who is asking for the override? It's the town. I mean, the town employees. I mean, they create their own bylaws that have been approved, or some have been returned back to the town manager. The question I asked is, why are the town departments or the town, well, I don't even know if the town manager knows how the law is supposed to be done, but a law that's implemented or proposed, it should be coming from the Board of Selectmen or the town meeting. And they have done that on certain ones, but they were proposed by, let's say, the police department, by excluding the kiosks for this crazy deal that they were ripping people off. So that was done. But the law about bylaw that was about empty buildings and deteriorating buildings was basically finally canned and sent back to the town manager, because that should never have even appeared on there. And that the town select board is sitting there, they don't know anything about it. So who's in charge of this town? It's not us.
We should be.
Well, then what we should do is
Yeah,
throw the bums out.
Well, we live in a very strange time. People seem to be getting involved less and less. It's difficult to get quorums at meetings. Nobody wants to get involved. Nobody wants to run for offices. I've gone to a couple of my club annual meetings, and nobody stepped up to be an officer. And it's just a sign of the times, but it still doesn't excuse the fact that these jobs have a mechanism to them, and it's not being done.
Okay, next step
Mm-hmm.
is the budget.
Well, good luck.
Good luck. The thing is that sitting back and watching what was going on at town meeting, in 24 or 23 minutes, $156 million worth of the budget was voted by the town meeting members. Bang, 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 bang. Without any questions. So why do we even have the town meeting?
Well, it's the mechanism of the job and the mechanism of the political body. But the point being here is, why did nobody question it? Because nobody came prepared to question it.
That's true.
That's
That's true.
You just can't walk into a room and start shooting from the hip.
Well, then
then you're a loose cannon.
No, you've got to be prepared.
You've
You're
got to be
right.
prepared. It takes time. Nobody wants to give the time anymore.
But nobody does. So that's why I wanted to point that out, because $156 million, and 85 of that $56 million was for the schools.
No surprise.
Well, no, it's more than 50%. And that has been, back in time, it was down to 40%.
I didn't know it varied that much.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's gone. In addition, we had a special town meeting before the annual town meeting.
Did we?
Did we? And the thing is that we spent, I think it was $4 or $5 million total. But one of those items was $1 million for the schools. That was for last year's budget, to cover expenses. Now, what budget are we having now? Now I understand there's another $750,000 that's being drawn from the stabilization fund for special education. And that's being applied to this year's budget, which hasn't even been passed because it's not approved yet by the Attorney General. So, that's my point. I'm sticking to it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me just make this one statement, and I have heard from many people that the select board reviewed the budget in a one-day circus affair. It was on a Saturday,
I remember that.
and everybody, this happened about 5 years ago, I think, from Steve Bartha when he was on board. And to short circuit the discussions about the budget, they have basically instituted a one-day affair, and I call it a circus affair, because they don't want to listen to anybody. They want to be able to pass it along, and because the budget that's being proposed is prepared by the town manager.
Hmm.
But when the Board of Selectmen or the Select Board accepts that budget and they review it, they own it. And they don't want to have anything to do with it. So that budget then goes to this one-day affair, and all it becomes is a self-advertising effort by the department heads, by the town manager, to make everybody feel like they're getting something for the budget. However, then the circus continues with the two-day review of the warrant articles, specifically by the Finance Committee. The one thing that has always been in question, and I know I'm being punished for this comments because I believe that the Finance Committee overextends their authority
Probably.
in regards to what the warrant articles are supposed to be
Yeah.
about.
Okay, nobody's holding anybody's feet to the fire, is what goes on.
That's right.
Okay. I was smiling a moment ago when you were saying all of this, and what was going through my mind is, and I don't mean to go in a strange direction, but whenever we had a project we were going to do, I'll use that phrase for with the military, this had to be plotted out and reviewed to the end. We would even go to the extent of having what our defense was going to be an international court in defending us for what we're
Right.
about to do.
You have to be prepared to know what's going on. So, that is an issue, and that's the end of the budget discussion, because I don't think anything is going to change, because I sat there at the back of the room and watched what's going on. And even the clicker issue,
Is that still going on?
well, that was presented at the town meeting, and what happened is it got to a point where the town meeting members finally decided to stand up after the vote was cast by voice vote, and the town moderator accepted it, but they stood up and said, no, we'll want to have a standing vote. Well, the vote, and this is watching from the outside looking in,
Hmm.
the vote was called, and it was accepted, and they went through it, but they fudged some numbers at the second stage, because all of a sudden the moderator called for the vote, for standing vote, and everybody stood up that said yes. And then all of a sudden another member pops in, he says, what about the negative vote? What about the no vote? So then people changed their mind. And this was a vote that was in question, and it's going to remain to be in question because it was screwed up.
Sounds it.
So the thing is, watching from the back, you can see who was being counted on the yes, and then all of a sudden the same people stood up for the no. So the thing is that in this case, the town moderator really caused a false impression of what the vote was. But that's the way it's done. I believe that this matter is going to be coming back over and over and over again because citizens' petitions can be reinstituted. It doesn't go away. So that's my concern, and I got chastised for even mentioning it to the town moderator. But that's okay.
Let me jump in for just a second.
Go for it.
Okay, again, 18 years working for the military, all right? Before I even could sit down at my desk and say hello to anybody, first I had to go through a 4-day session in terms of what people's jobs were. Then I had to go through something, I think the name of the course was, it was a college course. How does your government work? And before you even sit down, you just, where the power from the people came, where the money came from, et
Yep.
cetera, what appropriations are. So theoretically, when you came out of that, you knew how the machine worked. You knew what your job was, and you knew roughly what was expected of you. And I look at what I see here. Remember, I'm going from basically a military background, and I'm looking at bedlam.
Well, then let's continue the discussion because I'm trying to bring some bedlam to you, you being the Danvers representative to the Beverly Airport
Oh, I
Commission.
knew this was coming.
You
Yeah,
knew it was
I
coming.
knew it was coming.
But you only have 3 minutes, so you
Oh,
got to
thank
speak
God.
up
Yes.
quick.
Yes, go.
One of the things that I've noticed is that the Airport Commission and the commissioners for Danvers have basically sat back and watched things happen. Because the invitation to the meeting or the agenda to the meeting was not even distributed to the interested parties that have been attending these meetings for the last 5 years.
Well, I don't know what to tell you about that. I do know that as of recent, there's been a lot of overseer, I'll use that word, from City Hall in terms of what has to be done properly, so on and so forth, okay?
Mr. Cahill finally got
Oh,
involved.
yeah, well, somebody did.
Well, Cahill is totally a loose cannon.
Well, okay, well, I forget what the name of their attorney is, but.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, this came from, it was a lady, and I noticed that there was a restabilization of the boat, so to speak. We were kind of shaking there for a while.
Yeah.
And if things fell off, I'm sure it wasn't intentional, but I've noticed that there's been a lot of attention drawn to
Like-
the form mechanism.
Like what?
Well,
You don't have much time.
no, I don't. Give me a quick question. What would you like me to answer on?
When is the noise abatement going to be implemented? When are the airport jets stop running over our
It's
neighborhoods?
never going to happen. It's going to get worse.
Well, then what we need to do is we need to replace the airport commissioners.
Well, good luck. I've made a difference. I've made an ass out of
I know.
myself on many occasions.
That's what we need. We need somebody to speak for the Danvers
Well,
residents.
I do. And sometimes people like what I say, and sometimes people don't like what I
Well,
say.
join the club.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to do the job, for that big paycheck I get.
I know. The thing is that we need to reinforce the Danvers impact that we have had. And as you know, we have put in
39 seconds.
abatements for our real estate taxes, and they have been denied. But the assessing department did some investigations into the number of flights and where they're going over. So he did a good job for us, and we need to continue this, but we need to get to the board of select board.
Well, good luck on that.
Okay.
How many times have I gone before them?
I know.
Okay.
Well, I hope you don't have to go before them again, but I think we're running out of time. But I want to thank you, and
Thanks
if you
for having
have
me.
any last words,
Yeah, number one, don't forget the tickets for the party. And
All right. Thank you very much, Bill.